Good day everyone, my name is Russell J. Lacorte and my topic is strikes and lockouts and foreign involvement in trade union activities. Chapter 1, Strikes and Lockouts. So Article 278, Strikes and Picketing Lockouts. It is the policy of the state to encourage free trade, unionism, and free collective bargaining. So B. Workers shall have the right to engage in connected activities for purposes if collective bargaining or for their mutual benefit and protection. So the right of legitimate labor organizations to strike and picket and of employers to lock out consistent with the national interest shall continue to be recognized and respected. C. In cases of bargaining deadlocks, the duly certified or recognized bargaining agent may file a notice of strike of the employer may file a notice of lockout with the ministry at least 30 days before the intended date thereof. So it means in cases of unfair labor practice, the period of notice shall be 15 days and in the absence of a duly certified or recognized bargaining agent, the notice of strike may be filed by any legitimate labor organization on behalf of its members. However, in case of dismissal from employment of union officers, duly elected in accordance with the union constitution and bylaws. Next is D. The notice must be in accordance with such implementing rules and regulations as the Minister of Labor and Employment may promulgate. So here, during the calling period, it shall be the duty of the ministry to exert all efforts at the mediation and conciliation to effect a voluntary settlement. So it means it should have the dispute to remain unsettled until the lapse of the requisite number of days from the mandatory filing of the notice. The labor union may strike or the employer may be declare a lockout. Next is a decision to declare a strike must be approved by a majority of the total union membership in the bargaining unit concerned, obtained by secret ballot and meetings or referenda called for that purpose. A decision to declare a lockout must be approved by a majority of the board of directors of the corporation or association or of the partners in a partnership obtained by a secret ballot in a meeting called for that purpose. The decision shall be valid for the duration of the dispute based on the substantially the same grounds considered when the strike or lockout vote was taken. So G, when in his opinion there exists a labor dispute causing or likely to cause a strike or lockout in an industry indispensable to the national interest, the Secretary of Labor and Employment may assume jurisdiction over the dispute and decide it or certify the same to the Commission for compulsory arbitration. Before or at any stage of the compulsory arbitration process, the parties may opt to submit their dispute to voluntary arbitration. So last, the decision of the President, the Secretary of Labor and Employment, the Commission, or the voluntary arbitrator shall be the final and executory 10 calendar days after receipt thereof by the parties. Article 279, Prohibited Activities. So here, no strike or lockout shall be declared after assumption of jurisdiction by the President of the Minister or after certification or submission of the dispute to compulsory or voluntary arbitration or during dependency of cases involving the same grounds for the strike or lockout. Article 280, Improve offer balloting. In case of lockout, the Department of Labor and Employment shall also conduct a referendum by secret balloting on the reduced offer of the union on or before the 30th day of the lockout, when at least a majority of the board of directors or trustees or the partners holding the controlling interest in the case of a partnership vote to accept the reduced offer. The workers shall immediately return to work and the employer shall thereupon readmit them upon the signing of the agreement. Article 281 Requirement for arrest and detention. Except on grounds of national security and public peace or in case of commission of a crime, no union members or union organizers may be arrested or detained for union activities without previous consultations with the Secretary of Labor. Chapter 3 Assistance to Labor Organizations. Article 282 Assistance by the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor, at the initiative of the Secretary of Labor, shall extend special assistance to the organization for purposes of collective bargaining of the most underprivileged workers who, for reason of occupation, organizational structure, or insufficient incomes, are not normally covered by major labor organizations or federation. So here in Article 283, Assistance by the Institute of Labor and Manpower Studies. So here, the Institute of Labor and Manpower Studies shall render technical and other forms of assistance to labor organizations in the field of labor education, especially pertaining to collective bargaining, arbitration, labor standards, and the Labor Code of the Philippines in general. Article 284 Prohibition against aliens and exceptions. All aliens, natural or juridical, as well as foreign organizations, are strictly prohibited from engaging directly or indirectly in all forms of trade union activities without prejudice to normal contacts between Philippine labor unions and recognized international labor centers, provided, however, that aliens working in the country with valid permits issued by the Department of Labor and Employment may exercise the right to self-organization and join or assist the labor organization of their own choosing for purposes of collective bargaining. Article 285 Regulations of Foreign Assistance. So trade union activities shall mean: first is organization, formation, and administration of labor organization. Second is negotiation and administration of collective bargaining agreements. Third is all forms of concerned union action. And fourth is organizing, managing, or assisting union conventions, meetings, rallies, referenda, teach-ins, seminars, conferences, and institutes. Fifth is any form of participation or involvement in representation proceedings, representation elections, consent elections, union elections, and other activities or actions analogous to the foregoing. Article 286 Applicability to farm tenants and rural workers. The provisions of this title pertaining to foreign organizations and activities shall be deemed applicable likewise to all organizations of farm tenants, rural workers, and the like, provided that in appropriate cases, the Secretary of Agrarian Reform shall exercise the powers and responsibilities vested by this title in the Secretary of Labor. So next is Article 287 Penalties. So next is upon the recommendation of the Minister of Labor and Employment and the Minister of the National Defense, foreigners who violate the provisions of this title shall be subject to immediate and summary deportation by the Commission on Immigration and Deportation and shall be permanently barred from re-entering the country without the special permission of the President of the Philippines. That's all. Thank you.